Thank you, Grégoire. It's a great pleasure for me to to speak about training, heart rate variability, performance with you, especially to speak about Martin Fourcade, an athlete that I know from the beginning of this career in the French team. First, as Grégoire say me, I apologize for my terrific French accent. But I hope you can understand me during all my presentation. The subject is to present the 10 years of training of Martin Fourcade, donc the 10 last years. Until the last years, we was less effective for me, less a very low level for him, and I explain why. And it's very interesting to explain why. He progressed and stabilized and after a decrease in performance with heart rate variability monitoring, for example. Very quickly, the plan. But first, I show you in this very short movie. I hope it works. To show you a rapid presentation of the National Training Center of Nordic Skiing in Prémanon in France. We receive in this place different French team, rowing for example, but also you recognize Grégoire as a teacher for national coach. And here I am with one of the best Nordic skiers in France. And I present very quickly Martin Fourcade, but it's a very well-known athlete in biathlon in the world, but particularly is certainly the best French athlete, the best palmarès in the French world in athlete with when we combine summer and winter sport. I think it's the best palmarès now in France. And Martin Fourcade has made his mark in the world of biathlon by his shooting result as well as by his level of skiing and also his physiological capacity and tactical mastery during the races. For example, here in race, we can see his capacity of acceleration during on an uphill, for example.
This is going to be one almighty battle on the tracks with the German suits there, two of them.
I think this race was in Ruppolding in Germany.
But you can go too early in Oberhof because it's a cruel start to this final lap. Bjorn Dahlen isn't tempted. Schempp tries to stay with Martin Fourcade, who's trying to stamp his authority on this one. He always finds a way, and each time it's different. Martin Fourcade keeps the pressure on. Schempp stays with him. Someone is going to pay the price of this burst of speed, and Bjorn Dahlen from a potential win is down in 4th position. He could be relegated to 5th before too long. Incredible.
As Grégoire said, Martin was the best biathlon during the last decade, but we have a little change now. Yes, one thing. During all his career, Martin Fourcade was monitored with heart rate variability. I work with heart rate variability since more than 20 years, and I try to combine the temporal analysis and the spectral analysis to be more precise, not only with a quantitative analysis with a temporal analysis. the MSSD well known, but also I think it's the better way to combine the two, temporal and spectral analysis, to be more qualitative in this analysis. So I know very well Martin Fourcade and its change, evolution in Earth rate variability. But very quickly, Earth rate variability presents a variation in time in milliseconds between the successive Earth beats. And this variation are the product of the activity of the neurovegetative system, but also with other physiological activity as the baroreceptor and other, for example, dehydration and other physiological factors can influence the heart rate variability. And it's very sensible about the effect of the stress, the poor lifestyle, the nutritional deficiencies, the illness, the overreaching of our training, and we can very precisely monitor the athlete with this system. All the organs in the body are under influence of the autonomic neurovegetative system, or autonomic nervous system, is the same. And especially the relationship between the heart and the autonomic nervous system permits, with a non-invasive approach, to have a good evaluation of the level of energy in the neurovegetative system. As I said, with it's not only an evaluation of the energy or activity in the neurovegetative system, but also with HRV parameters, we can investigate different parts of the physiology, like the regulation with the pressure, with, as I said, with the dehydration, not only the autonomic nervous system. And when we work with heart rate variability, we start with electrograph system, and after with a simple mathematical system, we can have for example, we divide 60,000 divided by the value in heart rate. We have the value in beat per minute to have the heart rate variability in beat per minute. It's very much comfortable for us to work with heart rate in beat per minute than in millisecond with an interval RR. And I work particularly with spectral analysis. I think more qualitative than the temporal analysis. And the difficulty in this analysis is to well understand what physiological functions are under each band, very low frequency band, low frequency and high frequency. The very low frequency band are in a relation with the hormone of the thermoregulation, principally. The low frequency is more difficult to understand because we have a combination with effect of parasympathetic system and also autosympathetic system. And it's why it's very complex analysis than the very simple only RMSSD in the temporal analysis. And the high frequency represents only the parasympathetic influence. It's well known. And when after this value, you can apply a protocol test. For example, here we have the protocols I used for the French team. We analyze 7 minutes in supine position, followed by 6 minutes in standing position, but we can reduce. Now we use 5 minutes in supine, following by 5 minutes in standing. We have, it's very important to have a good reproducibility of the test, always in the same condition, same temperature, same time in the morning. I prefer to use the test just in the morning after waking, after to go to the toilet to avoid a fully bladder. And because it's a more reproducibility situation, and also another point, it's very important to have no intensity session the 2 days preceding the test, because it's a very sensible information under influence of many stimulators. And the intensity of training, it's always followed by an increase in orthosympathetic system, a decrease in parasympathetic system. So if you want to analyze the homeostatic base of an athlete, we have to be very precise with the training the day preceding the test. And I used to have 2 easy aerobic days before an HRV test to analyze the homeostatic situation of an athlete. When we applied after the fast Fourier transformation, we can have a presentation here in here in a spectral energy, and the energy is represented by the surface under the line. For example, in green, we have all the energy in the HF, high frequency band, representing the parasympathetic influence. And we have here an analysis in supine and in standing, and we can observe directly the different signal in supine and standing position. In supine position, the frequency of each wave depends directly of the earth of the ventilatory rate. It's the ventilation, the ventilatory rate is the synchronizer of the parasympathetic system in the body. And in standing, we observe waves more slow. And in standing, the synchronizer and the synchronizer of the orthosympathetic system is the regulation of the pressure. It's a very, and the regulation of the pressure is a very regularity band, always around at 0.1 Hertz. And the problem of the spectral analysis is that the high frequency band moves with the rate of the ventilation. And in practice, it's more difficult to use spectral analysis than... I don't know, je ne l'ai pas trouvé. Il a disparu. It's more difficult to use with spectral analysis than temporal analysis, but it's more informative in the qualitative between the influence of orthosympathetic and parasympathetic system. But it's more difficult to work with. So after, we can monitor like that. Okay. We can monitor like that with here the test of the day, and we have the supine and standing position, the spectral energy here, and in green, the high frequency represents the parasympathetic influence, in red, the orthosympathetics, more difficult to understand with the combination between parasympathetic and orthosympathetic influence, but the main influence is orthosympathetic. In standing, the reactivity, in standing position, we propose a problem in the body with the blood in the legs, and we analyze the capacity to stimulate the orthosympathetic activity to contract the vessel to facilitate the return of the blood in the heart and in the brain. We don't analyze the same thing in supine and in standing. And we don't have to find a combination between supine and standing. For example, in this example in supine and in standing, we can find here a problem of fatigue in supine with a decrease, very important decrease in high frequency band, represents the parasympathetic system. We are in orthosympathetic predominance with heart rate increased. It's a specific fatigue. And here in standing, we have another problem. It's another type of fatigue with a low orthosympathetic reactivity and a very high heart rate. And here we have an hypotonia of orthosympathetic activation. Here we have an hypotonia of parasympathetic activation. So for the recovery or the adaptation of the training, it's very different in these two situations. Now we can propose with a very recent tool proposed by the societies. I work with Gregoire and others to propose now a fully automatic solution to heart rate variability. We have a soft in iPhone or Android. You do your test 5 minutes in supine followed by 5 minutes in standing. You have your result directly, and after the result is sent in a dashboard to have a more precise detail, and very important thing to have the advice, the solution depending of your level of energy. 3 levels with a normal situation, very good, good, and begin to the disabled situation, and 5 different types of fatigue. And with these different 5 types of fatigue, we have to produce a different solution of training, food, medication, etc. Now, the methodology I use in the French team during all the season, in each different period, I propose a monitoring of heart rate variability test. And the tests, the more important, are placed in the end of each recovery week. Because the first question is, my athlete is able to produce more training, to support more training loads in the mesocycle, following mesocycle, or not? Is he tired? Which type of fatigue? It's the first question. The second, HRV tests are placed during this mesocycle depending on the choice of the coach. The coach observes the athlete during the training session. Oh, it's a good shape or not. I think it's a little tired. I think it's a little stressed, etc. And he has the possibility to place HRV tests when depending on his choice. Another important thing, when we are in the phase, for example, the last 3 weeks preparing an objective like World Championship or Olympic Games, every morning we propose a HRV test. And the training of the days depend of the test of the day. For example, if the test, the level of the high frequency band decrease and the heart rate in supine position increase, we choose to train only at aerobic during the day. Another example, if the situation is very, very good, okay, no, today it's very good. We propose, for example, an interval training. And we individualize the training in the final preparation like that. When I show you the monitoring in heart rate variability of Martin Fourcade during 10 years. Here we have the heart rate in black and the total power in supine position by adding low frequency and high frequency. And it's very interesting to observe, since here the beginning in May in 27 until here 2018, we observe in the first period with a decrease in heart rate in supine position, until a very low heart rate. Sometimes is very low. And this decrease in heart rate is associated with an increase in total low and high frequency energy. And after, we observe another period with a stabilization between heart rate, resting heart rate, and total power, and a third period with an increase in heart rate and some situation of fatigue. When we use, for example, in this time RMSSD in temporal analysis, we observe exactly the same. There's an increase in RMSSD associated with a decrease in heart rate, a stabilization, and here in this last season of the study, of the period studied, a decrease. But also, in standing position, we observe a similar evolution. When, for example, I use low frequency in standing position in one parameter, very interesting in standing. In supine, the most interesting HRV parameter are high frequency, total power by adding high frequency and low frequency, and RMSSD. But in standing, the more information about the activity of the orthosympathetic system is the low frequency. And we can use low frequency divided by heart rate. Is a good parameter to use. And we observe this increase. The signification is, in this situation, the athlete is able to have a good capacity to use the glycogen, to increase the lactate, a good power. And after this system is stabilized, and we have here some decrease in this frequency band in the end. When I propose here the podium on the place in World Cup, just under here the graph of the monitoring of heart rate variability, in the first period, we can observe that a combination, a relationship between the increase in podium, and especially in the first place, with the decrease in heart rate and the increase in total power heart rate variability. In the second period, we observe in this period a stabilization of the level, of the performance level of Martin Fourcade, and a stabilization also in podium. And the third period clearly shows a decrease in performance, in result. Another representation, during all the season study, the evolution of the mean high frequency in supine, and to propose here for example, the mean high frequency, I use only the test in the same condition. For example, when we are in for example, in competition period, just after the competition, you want to know if the impact of the competition is very hard, and this type of test is not included in the study. Okay? The main state of fatigue for Martin Fourcade is this situation. It's median during all the periods studied. In supine, we have the global energy by adding high frequency and low frequency, the reactivity in low frequency in supine, the level of heart rate. But the main situation of state for Martin Fourcade are with hypotonia in global energy in supine. with a very low, in this situation, in December here, with a very low level of energy in supine position. In this situation, his capacity of recovery is very affected, very deleted. He is not very effective to have a fast recovery. So it's very dangerous to propose intensity in this situation. We have to combine different stimulation to stimulate the parasympathetic system, like cold baths, some special diets, some special neurotransmitter also, a low intensity of training. We have to combine different stimulator of the parasympathetic system. Now, I try to find a relationship between the heart rate variability change and the training performed during all the study period. Globally, when I analyze the training of Martin Fourcade during all these years, I find one thing very important, in my opinion, to develop well the endurance capacity, especially the maximal oxygen uptake and the different threshold, notably the second lactate threshold. And we observe first an evolution, a positive progressivity in volume. Here, the beginning just under 520 hours during the day, but in biathlon, we have to add also the shooting hours of the training in shooting, around 200 of training for a biathlete. And here we have near 70 hours during all the years. But one thing important is the percentage of the low intensity training. This intensity is performed under the first lactate threshold. It's, in my opinion, or the same for Grégoire or other researchers in endurance, high-level endurance sports, it's very, very important to use a very high percentage of volume at intensity under the first lactate threshold. But we observe in the last year, the work, the intensity station between the two thresholds is increased, and the intensity between the first lactate decrease. I think it's one explanation of the decrease in performance of Martin Fourcade and the different type of fatigue observed during these years of training. When we observe the different period, in the general training period, we observe the same change, same evolution in the volume, high percentage of volume of under the first lactate. In this training period, specific training period, August, September, October, is more important, and we show here really the difference between this year and the other one. But why Martin Fourcade trained differently in this year? Because he worked a lot with, during all this year, with one coach, Stéphane Boutiot. And Stéphane Boutiot for Martin Fourcade was like a second father. He was a coach, a teacher, near a father. But after a lot of years, Martin Fourcade want to change, to have, okay, now I want to change because I want to continue to progress. And he asked to the French director of the French Federation, French Ski Federation, to change the coach. But he worked now with Vincent Vitoz, who was a world championship in cross-country skiing. But Martin Fourcade, with all the group, all the other athletes, is the French team, this year want also to be an example for the team, because he asked to change the coach. He asked himself, so he have a responsibility. And during all the training, during all the summer, on the August, on the autumn, he want to train in front of the team. Always a little too hard training for him, a little too speed, not a lot, but always a little. And this produce a decrease in performance and some type of fatigue, very new for him. When I put here the graph with all the training performance and on the result in performance in podium, it's very evident to observe this situation. But after interesting for me, before I show you the relationship, the mathematical relationship, I precise the training model used in the French Nordic ski team to well understand. And I show you a little movie to explain.
Sur ces 3 jours, nous allons tester sur notre nouveau tapis les niveaux de VO2 max et puis d'endurance des athlètes. On va déterminer leur seuil anaérobie pour déterminer leurs intensités d'entraînement, et ces tests vont nous servir en fait un petit peu à faire la carte d'identité des athlètes en trouvant leur qualité, leurs points forts, leurs points faibles, et on va pouvoir comparer comme ça leur évolution d'un test à l'autre.
Les lactates, tu nous prends comment?
Tu viens ici, tu mets ta main droite là, tu poses ta main gauche ici.
Ok, j'enlève mes gants.
Ouais. Yes, we have here the three best biathlete French, and we work a lot with this big tread beam for the training and the monitoring. And one very important thing for us is to determine the two levels. First, the lactate or ventilatory threshold is very near, and second, lactate threshold and ventilatory threshold. And the clinic sensation we are under the first lactate at low to moderate effort intensity. We have a slight shortness of breath, and we are able to have the inspiration through the noise, and we are able to speak. It's when we are between the two thresholds, medium to high effort intensity, we are not able to have an inspiration only with the noise, but we use the mouth, and it's begun to be difficult to speak. And when we are at high intensity under the second threshold, we have this situation of hyperventilation. We have an inspiration through the mouth, and we are completely unable to speak. And in French, we use, like in the other team, for example, like in Norway, we use 5 intensity level. Intensity 1 below the first latex threshold, 2 between the two threshold, 3 at the second threshold. Here intensity 4 for the race and the interval training, interval aerobic training, and this number 5 intensity is for speed and the strength training. And to have the training load, we multiplicate the training duration of the session in minutes by the coefficient of intensity. One interesting observable, for example, for this athlete, but also for the 5 best biathlete men in France, with Stéphane Boutiot, we performed this test in June and after in September to determine the first threshold and the second. And we observe one important thing in high-level endurance sports. The first lactate, for example, in December, it is very low, 1.2, not 2 millimole of lactate, but under 1.2. And the second, here with a clear increase in lactate, is around 2 millimole of lactate. If we choose to use 2 and 4 millimole, sure, we propose a very bad system of training for this athlete. So it's very important to individualize the threshold 1 and 2, depending of the kinetic of lactate and not of the value 2 or 4 millimole. And for this athlete, between June and September, we observe absolutely no evolution of VO2. The main evolution in the capacity to use the free fatty acid as substrate energetic, with a decrease in the use here of the glucose and glycogen. Since many years now in France, we have changed our system of training. Here, it was the old system. We work we consider this training not very important for the training. We train always, very often, between the two thresholds and sometimes at high intensity, but very often with a fatigue situation. And since now, I think more 15 or around 20 years, we use this system with a very important for us consideration of the training under the first latex threshold that permit to have high intensity training with a no fatigue situation. And it's very, very important to have a good evolution in the aerobic capacity. I propose here the physiological effect of the different intensity. And in my opinion, this one is very, very important to respect. And now the last part of my presentation with the mathematical relationships between the training performed, the performance realized, and the heart rate variability monitoring during the 10 years of this study. Just in the graph, when I combine these two graphs, performance with the number of podium, training, and one HRV parameters, I use the high frequency band divided by heart rate in supine position. Because you know when the level of heart rate is very low, the amplitude of the wave are lower because the heart rate is very low. So it's interesting to divide high frequency by heart rate to moderate the effect of this heart rate very low in the global energy. And we put these two graphs, we observe the evolution of the training, the evolution of this HRV parameter, the evolution also in the result in podium, and for exactly these last years, another time we observe this decrease in these parameters associated with a change in the training and the lesser result in competition. But now, when I use high frequency band, the mean high frequency band in supine position, the relationship with the number here of podium here, I have a relationship interesting. The same with high frequency band divided by heart rate with podium, and with only heart rate, I observe the heart rate decrease with increase in podium when a clear relationship. And here I use RMSSD in temporal analysis, so observe relate the same relationship. Donc, a clear relationship between the monitoring of stride variability and the result in performance first. After, here is the relationship between the heart rate variability in spectral energy in high frequency band here with the total volume of training. We note a relationship between more more is the volume of training, more is the level in high frequency band. And for heart rate, more the training volume and is associated with a lower heart rate. And when I propose here the volume of training at low intensity under the first lactate, I observe more the training at low intensity, more are the high frequency, the inverse with the heart rate. And the third slide is this relationship between the podium and the training. More as the volume of training, more as the number of podium, and especially more as the volume at low intensity of training, more as the podium, with a very clear relationship. Now, for me, as a coach, 5 minutes? Yes, okay. I conclude. It was a problem for me as a coach, as researcher. This morning, we have a very good presentation of Professor Sandbach, that it's very important to associate at high-level researcher on sport, on the athlete. It's very difficult to explain why to train slowly permits to ski faster. It's not easy to, okay, train slowly, sure. I explain you are able to ski faster and to have good results. So I propose here some physiological explanation to understand why this system works. And in my opinion, it's very important to consider our body, our system, like a systemic system, an holistic approach, okay, complex. When we train below the first lactate threshold, we first increase the total energy in our neurovegetative system, especially with an increase in parasympathetic system, a very protector system, and a stability in the sympathetic system. First, a very strong effect in neurovegetative activity of this intensity of training, but associated with an increase in the stroke volume, an increase in the blood and plasma volume, an moderate increase in vascularization, but a great increase in the number of mitochondrium, an increase very important in aerobic enzyme, especially in the free fatty acid utilization. When we train between the two thresholds, in neurovegetative activity, we have a slight decrease, especially in parasympathetic energy, with an increase in sympathetic, but we are in the catabolism system. The stroke volume is not the especially increase with its intensity. We increase blood and plasma volume, vascularization, special in the muscle, the transport of hydrogen, especially with the NAD with the ion H+, and we use this intensity to have a glycogen supercompensation. And when we train above the second lactate threshold, we have a clear decrease in neurovegetative activity. It's a very, very aggressive intensity in the neurovegetative increase in sympathetic system, but a clear, great decrease in parasympathetic activity. It's not the intensity to develop the stroke volume, but we develop the tonicity of the heart. It's not the intensity to develop the blood and plasma volume, but the intensity to develop the buffer power, the enzyme of the glycolyse, phosphofructokinase and lactate dehydrogenase, and myoglobin. Thank you for your attention.